Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another edition of the Your Trip is Short podcast. I'm your host, Eric Lucier. This is lucky episode number 7, and it's on Friday the 13th out of all dates. Interesting juxtaposition for this podcast on this Friday. Kind of a somber Friday, at least here in Vermont, where the governor just basically came on board and said we got to start locking things back down again. Bars, social clubs, gatherings, multi-family gatherings, multi-household gatherings, like almost effective immediately. Things are not going swimmingly, and we're in a state where we've done well. We've done really well. They actually revised yesterday's high record number from just over 100 down to around 80, but it's still an issue here in Vermont. I don't even want to really talk about it, but it put me into a somber mood right off the bat when hearing about it. And apparently the mayor of Burlington is about to deliver an address here that I have a friend covering. So I'll be hearing some more information on what's going on with governor's address and also the mayor's address here. But it's times like this where we turn to music, and today's a new release Friday. Remember when new releases used to be on Tuesday? I used to look forward to Tuesdays because there's no other reason to look forward to Tuesdays. But at one point in time, they moved everything towards a Friday. And I read the reason why, and it made a lot of sense, and I'll take it. Fridays, hey, it's already the start of the weekend, essentially, and we can take all the good news we can. So new releases are now on Fridays, and it's great because now due to Spotify and Apple Music and what have you, basically 12 o'clock Eastern time, all the new releases are out Thursday night. And if I'd stayed up till 12:01 last night, I would have jumped right on the number one release that I want to talk about. But I grabbed it in the morning, first thing. I'll jump on Spotify, go dig into my new releases, find them, and start listening. And it's wonderful. Wonderful. I love new music. CDs aren't even necessary anymore. You can new release something, and it can be a single or it can be a whole full-on release, but you don't need a physical product. It's now just a picture and the music pushed out to the ethers. And I'm encouraging any artist that is looking to assemble a whole album, why wait? Put out the singles. The new release Friday is dominated by singles nowadays, and all it takes is one. So I'm still a fan of the whole release. Don't get me wrong. I love the whole product. Was not a fan of the new release society. But if you're an artist, all it takes is one track to make you nowadays, to make you some money, to perhaps put you on somebody else's radar, and to get you some airplay. So you don't necessarily need that whole entire album release anymore. You can just push one song out there. And I think an artist that has done that real well, I can't say that. They released their new album intelligently today, and that's Chris Stapleton and his brand new release called Starting Over. Well, what he did about a month and a half ago is he basically pushed out his first release, Starting Over, the title track, and then every couple of Fridays he put out a new song, and he kind of added into an EP, if you will. So then it was Starting Over and another track, and then 2 weeks later, Starting Over and another track and another track, and then it was the third release. So essentially, by the time today hit, he had 4 new songs out there in kind of a minor EP, if you will, and then at 12:01 he dropped the whole entire thing, and it's called Starting Over. And I'm going to play a couple of tracks from it because he's brilliant. He's going to be the first artist that I've repeated here on the Your Trip is Short podcast, but I find him deservedly so of having that regards. And he put out an Instagram post that I thought was pertinent to the way I was feeling and the way I feel about music, and I wanted to read it to you. It came out essentially as midnight hit, and the new release came out, and it's a quick little statement he put out there, and it says, quote, "In my life, when I've needed strength, love, peace, joy, friendship, focus, courage, understanding, hope, or healing, I've found these things in music. As you listen, I pray you find some of these things here. May we all look to the best of who we've been and the promise of who we can be. Here's to Starting Over." Brilliant words from a brilliant artist. Chris Stapleton has teamed with Dave Cobb on the last 4 releases. I think each one perhaps better than the last, but just an absolute prolific songwriter. He's had Traveler, In Studio A, Volume 1, Volume 2, and now Starting Over. All deserved of ample listening from start to finish. Just he gives me chills even just talking about some of his talent. The production is A1. His band is just incredible. And his band is him, a drummer, and a bassist. And then his wife, Morgan, comes out and sings with him as well. But it's really just the four of them. But they're a core trio, just putting down some legendary songs on the scene right now with lots and lots of crossover appeal. And it is in this moment where I turn to music for happiness, turn my mood around, and I'm just going to put this out there now. And I'll backsell a little bit here, but I'm going to basically put out some Chris Stapleton songs on this new release Friday that showcase some of his talent. Perhaps we'll go more towards some other new releases as well. I don't know. Like I said yesterday, I never know where I'm going to go until I press stop, until I start programming the music that I want to follow up with. But I know this one's going to be a couple of Chris Stapleton songs because I'm already quite enamored with a brand new release starting over. I'm not going to do the title track. It's all over commercial radio right now. You can hear that however you want. I'm going to go into some of these other album tracks that he's got out there on this brand new release, and then we'll find some other things to do. So thank you for tuning in. May music bring you joy and peace and solace in this time. And we're going to go with Chris Stapleton here as we delve into the music here on Your Trip is Short podcast, episode number 7 on this Friday the 13th. Thank you for joining me. Please like, please share, please follow, please tell your friends, please enjoy, and may this bring you peace and happiness. It's Chris Stapleton on the Your Trip is Short podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. It's Eric Lucier back wrapping up this edition of the Your Trip is Short podcast, episode number 7, Friday the 13th. Starting to get the hang of this thing. And hopefully you're not surprised when I've come back to wrap this up, but I'm going to maybe do that because by this time I'll have known what I've played, and you'll have known too if you've kept track at home, if you're playing along at home, or perhaps you've looked at the playlist. But I really love this integration between Anchor and Spotify that has allowed me to do this. Finally start playing some music on a podcast and have it be done legally so that the artists are actually compensated. So again, it's New Release Friday, and I actually ended up focusing on 3 artists that I played in episode 1, but if you went back, or if you've listened to that episode, I should say, you know how important these 3 artists have been to me over the last couple of years. They've kind of skewed my version of what I believe country music is, or what it was, or what it could be, and I've really enjoyed these artists a great deal. Well, it's New Release Friday, and a brand new release from Chris Stapleton, and Starting Over is the name of it, focused on 4 songs from that one. The first one you heard was Devil Always Made Me Think Twice, and then a rocker called Arkansas, Hillbilly Blood, and Whiskey Sunrise, all from Chris Stapleton. He likes to sing about his whiskey, if you didn't know. Check out Drinkin' Dark Whiskey sometime from the Steel Drivers, a band that Chris Stapleton founded and played flat-picking guitar and sang on for the first 2 albums. Great artist, but those guys are. I still love listening to the Steel Drivers. So those first 4 from Chris Stapleton. And then with a little help from Ricky Skaggs and Larry Cordle, Tyler Childers doing Highway 40 Blues, and then his latest, it closed out a brand new release from last month on fiddle tracks. Tyler's taught himself how to play fiddle over the last year, I guess, or so. It was slowed down a little when he broke his shoulder, but he released a bunch of traditional fiddle songs and then closed it out with a song called Long Violent History. And if you didn't listen to those lyrics, go back and listen to them. Talk about a political stance and the turmoil that the United States has been in over 2020. That song deserves hearing. Long Violent History from one of my most favorite artists, if not my most favorite from the last couple of years, Tyler Childers. And then we wrapped it up with the brand new stuff from the first edition of the Bluegrass tracks that Sturgill Simpson has been releasing. It's apparently going to be a volume 2 sometime this year. At least I'm hoping it's this calendar year. We heard A Little Light, Railroad of Sin, and Life Ain't Fair and the World is Mean, all from Sturgill Simpson. And if those tracks sound familiar, those track names sound familiar, well, that's because Sturgill took his back catalog and re-recorded them as bluegrass numbers, and to say that they haven't lost a beat is an understatement. Perhaps even more poignant as bluegrass are those tracks. So just incredible stuff. It's from Cuttin' Grass Volume 1, the Butcher Shop Sessions. Sturgill Simpson released it on October 16th, 2020, 20 songs, 55 minutes and 4 seconds. I cannot get enough of that entire release. If you're a Sturgill Simpson fan, just go back and listen to it. If you haven't already, shame on you. If you have, go give it another listen. Incredible stuff. But that's what wraps up this edition of the Your Trip is Short podcast, number 7. Again, same as I did on episode 1, but all artists that deserve more listening. Chris Stapleton, Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson on this new release Friday the 13th. A somber day, I guess, here locally in Vermont as we're starting to become more locked down because of the governor's orders, but hard to say we deserve it, but maybe we deserve it because of the way we've become a little too lenient in our surroundings. So feedback, always suggested. Leave a comment if you can somewhere, or drop me an email, yourtripIsShort2020@gmail.com. My name is Eric Lucier. You'll be hearing from me again soon. And remember, always, your trip is short.